Good evening, everyone. Today is Wednesday, May the 1st, 2024. Today, we're going to be talking about your boy, John MacArthur. All right? Now, y'all know I rides with John MacArthur heavy. Heavy. All right? They call John MacArthur the Protestant Pope. You know, and a lot of people have a lot of respect. I think with John MacArthur, you either love him or you hate him. I don't think that I've really met too many people in the middle. Oh, excuse me. But John MacArthur, um, like I said, some people like him. Some people they don't really care too much for him. But I think he's a great teacher. I've learned so much from John MacArthur. And listen, don't come in here putting your mouth on the man of God now. All right, watch yourself. Don't come in here talking about the spirit-filled ordained minister of God. All right, so before we come in here talking greasy about John MacArthur, you better put some respect on that name. Some respect with a capital K at the end. All right, listen, y'all know what to do. As y'all come in, go ahead, hit that like button, hit that notifications bell if you are subscribed as well. All right, so I'm pretty sure some of y'all have seen the title of this video, and you're seeing the headline of this particular article, where it seems as if John MacArthur, Pastor John MacArthur, says there's no such thing as mental illness caused PTSD, quote unquote grief. Now, although I do ride with John MacArthur heavy, but I'm just like, I don't know if I can agree with him on this one. All right. I think that these conversations are a little bit more nuanced than that. So as you guys go ahead and partake in that poll that we got in the live chat, all right? Where I am asking the question, is mental illness real? So far, 43% of you say it's very real. 43% of you say no, it's big pharma. And 14% of you say some of it is, and some of it isn't. Grace and Peace, Atlanta since 82, up in the house. And we got Sister April A. Thank you for joining the live stream. All right. So Sister April A says that she totally agrees with John MacArthur, all right? She says she agrees with John MacArthur. And, but like I said, that's the man of God right there. All right. So let's get ready to get into this article, y'all. Let's go ahead and get into this article and see why Pastor John MacArthur says that there is no such thing as mental illness. That is just grief. All right. So this is from thechristianpost.com. And this article was released today. Actually, not too long ago. Probably about an hour or so ago. Does it put the time on it? Nope, don't put the time. But anyway. All right. Let's go ahead and read this article. And it starts off and it says, in what at least one critic has dismissed as the Dunning-Kruger effect in action, Pastor John MacArthur of Grace Community Church in Sun Valley, California, claims there is no such thing as mental illness. More than 1 in 5 U.S. adults live with a mental illness, according to the U.S. Center for Disease Control and Prevention. Over 1 in 5 youth ages 13 to 18, either currently or at some point during their life, have had a seriously or debilitating mental illness. About 1 in 25 U.S. adults also lives with a serious mental illness such as schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, or major depression. How many of you guys actually deal with some form of mental illness or know someone who is dealing with some type of mental illness? All right, type of one if you guys know somebody who is dealing with a mental illness. And I'm talking about somebody who's diagnosed. I'm not talking about someone who who we may be like, man, that dude crazy. You know what I'm saying? Old girl, she might be a little crazy. She ain't been diagnosed yet, but I know it. I just know it. I feel it in my spirit. Days before the beginning of Mental Health Awareness Month, however, MacArthur, who is also the president of the Master's College and Seminary, called mental illness, quote unquote, noble lies, while speaking during a panel discussion at Grace Church of the Valley last Thursday. Grace and peace, Sister Sheila. Grace and peace. One of my biggest supporters up in the channel. Thank you, sis. Thank you, sis. Then we also got Mari. She says, greetings, everyone. We got Atlantis. Oh, yeah. Atlantis 82 says 0. All right. April says there's no such thing. It is just spiritual warfare. All right. Atlantis 82 says Sheila hasn't been diagnosed. She just goes to bed early. Let's see what Big Yehuda says. He says John MacArthur should have retired a long time ago. This is rich but completely unsurprising from him. TMS in general is bad. The most arrogant people you'll meet. Let me see. TMS. What is that? What's TMS? TMS in general is bad. Consulting. All right. All right. Let's continue. Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah, I remember. The Master Seminary. Okay. Big Yehuda said the Master Seminary. All right, cool. Yeah, there are some people who do know, some folks who do suffer from mental illness, and I'm talking about someone who's been diagnosed, you know, and I've known quite a few people myself who have been, you know, clinically diagnosed with mental illness, and that's why I'm just like, you know, I think Pastor John MacArthur got to be careful. But I did read this article. And he does. I'm not gonna lie. He does. You know. Sometimes Pastor Joe MacArthur, you know, he kind of go off the rails a little bit. Big Yehuda says, to be clear, J Mac is a true Christian, but he is a bad pastor. Hold on, bro. Oh. Hold on. I told y'all before y'all got up in here. We're gonna put respect on that name tonight. All right, let's continue. Citing the arguments presented by clinical psychologist Bruce E. Levine in his book, A Profession Without Reason and the Myth of Mental Illness, by the now deceased Hungarian-American psychiatrist Thomas Saza, MacArthur urged parents to not to believe in quote-unquote noble lies he alleges are being supported by the pharmaceutical industry so they can sell medication to the public. So he is basically saying that he has some, like I was just about to say, but he did have some pretty good arguments. All right. I mean, you know, I'm not going to say that I totally agree with it, but I think that he has had some pretty good arguments in this particular article when he's expressing his opinion about mental illness. And I'm just like, okay, I can see that. But at the same time, I'm not willing to throw all mental illness in the trash and just be like, well, there ain't no such thing as it at all. Because I do believe that there are some things that do have to be dealt with, especially when it comes to like modern medicine. All right. So White Label Consultant says Scripture does not agree with this thought. MacArthur's comments about mental illness came in response to a question about helping parents navigate America's quote unquote cultural disaster. Quote, just to lay it out simply, kids are sinful. I have great grandchildren, and by the time they're 3 or 4, their sin nature is starting to be manifest. Then you add that to the sins of the fathers, are visited under the generations, the 3rd and 4th generation, MacArthur said, end quote. Grace and peace, Sister Kiana Shaw. Grace and peace, Big Nate. In addition to their sinful nature, the California megachurch pastor explained that the current culture is now targeting children to trap them in sin. Quote, the homosexuals say we're coming after your kids. They're not trying to protect them. They're targeting them in schools. They're targeting them through the media. Disney and companies like that, that develop child entertainment are targeting children for really what amounts to moral and spiritual destruction. So this is a war on the children, end quote, said John MacArthur, who on Monday released his new book, The War on Children, Providing Refuge for Your Children in a Hostile World. How many of you guys agree with that? Type 1 if you agree with it. Type of 2 if you do not. And for you guys who just came in, go ahead and partake in that live poll that we got only on YouTube, where I'm asking a question. Is mental illness real? So far, 67% of you say very real. 23% of you say no, it's a big pharma scam. And 8% of you say some of it is, and some of it isn't. All right, I'm telling you, we got some people, we got quite a few people in here saying that mental illness is not, it's not valid. It's not, backed up by scripture. But I'm going to let y'all go ahead and duke it out in the comments. I'm just here to read the information. MacArthur asserted that the increased diagnosis of children with mental illness today is not teaching them personal responsibility, and medicating them for these illnesses only turns them into drug addicts and potentially criminals. Quote, I was reading a book, interesting book, called A Profession Without Reason. It's a book that shows basically, this is pretty shocking to some of you, that psychiatry and psychology is finally admitting the noble lies that they've been telling for the past 100 years, MacArthur said. Quote, and the major noble lie is that there is no such thing as mental illness. Now, this isn't new. You have Thomas Sazaz, and I can't pronounce that name. It's S-Z-A-S-Z, so I guess it's Sazaz. Writing a book, who was a psychiatrist, on the myth of mental illness. There is no such thing as PTSD. There is no such thing as OCD. There is no such thing as ADHD. Those are noble lies, basically to give excuse to, at the end of the day, to medicate people. And Big Pharma is in charge of a lot of that. End quote, the pastor argued. Ooh, strong words. Strong words. Grace and peace, St. Moses the Black. He says mental illness is not backed up by scripture. Uh-oh. I got St. Moses the Black. He's coming in. He's coming in a war mode. All right. Now see, now here's the thing too. My boy, my boy Paul's St. Moses the Black, aka Shafe the Berean, aka haven't played that in a minute because he hasn't been on in a minute. But he says, so my mental health issues are fake. All right, because if I'm not mistaken, I think that Shafe, if you do want to go ahead and share if you've been diagnosed or anything like that, you can go ahead and share that with us. Have you been medically diagnosed, or is it just kind of like, people just telling you? And I'm asking because I want the audience to know, not from my own personal knowledge, because I think I already know, but, just asking for the crowd. Have you been medically diagnosed, with certain mental illness? All right. The American Psychiatric Association defines PTSD as, quote, a psychiatric disorder that may occur in people who have experienced or witnessed a traumatic event, series of events, or set of circumstances. An individual may experience this emotionally or physically harmful or life-threatening and may affect mental, physical, social, and or spiritual well-being, end quote. Some studies suggest it is caused by a chemical imbalance in the brain. All right? Because we do hear that a lot when we're talking about mental illness. All right. So St. Moses the Black says, I have obsessive compulsive disorder. Okay. Now that's OCD, which was mentioned up here. Because now, see, here's the beef. Here's the beef. Pastor John MacArthur says that there's no such thing as OCD. Now, St. Moses the Black says that he's been diagnosed with OCD and bipolar 2 disorder. He says, I pray every day for them to go away. I have been diagnosed with them by professionals. It's a cross I carry every day. You see what I'm saying? So that's why I'm just like, when it comes to this, I'm like, oh, I don't know if I can ride all the way with John MacArthur on this one. It's like I said, that's a man of God. All right. I rides with him heavy. All right. But I will say that maybe I kind of disagree with him on some of this. I kind of disagree with him on some of this. But let me just go ahead and get through this article, and then I'll kind of give my spiel in a moment. All right. Harvest Bible Chapel founder James McDonald is among those who have been diagnosed with the mental illness. One of 6 million veterans served in fiscal year 2021. About 10% of men and 19% of women are diagnosed with PTSD, according to the U.S. Department of Veteran Affairs. Wow, so I didn't know that more women than men are suffering from PTSD when it comes to those who are veterans. I thought that the numbers would have been higher for men, because and me just thinking about it, because you do have men who are more likely to enlist into the military, and they are more likely to do the more dangerous things, such as go to the like go into battle, go into war, and do things like that. So I thought that the numbers would be a little bit higher than women, but it seems like women have a slight higher number than the men. Quote, if you understand, take PTSD, for example, what that really is grief. You are fighting a war you lost. Your buddies. You have a certain amount of survival of guilt because you made it back. They didn't. How do you deal with grief? Grief is a real thing, but grief is a part of life. And if you can't navigate grief, you can't live life, end quote, MacArthur asserted. Quote, but if you clinically define that, you can give them a pill, a series of medications, and they end up in LA homeless on the sidewalk. This is in regard to children. Is the most deadly thing that's been unleashed on children. Medication, he added. And my thing is, too, is that I totally disagree with medicating children. All right? I totally disagree with that. I don't believe that you should be pumping your kids full of pills just to try to, quote unquote, calm them down. I totally disagree with that. My kids, a couple of my kids was active, but a couple of them, like my son, which is kind of like the middle child, he wasn't too active. He was always kind of chilled and laid back. Even the oldest daughter, she was just, chilled and laid back. But my youngest, oh man, she had to just touch everything and be into everything. And not once did I ever think that, I need to go ahead and give her a pill and calm her down. Kiana Shaw says I think the fact that more women than men who are veterans suffer from PTSD should tell you something. Uh-oh. What should it tell us, Kiana? Sister Kiana. Big Nate says, I bet men are more likely to try to hide or deny it. Okay, I totally agree, because y'all know sometimes us men, we crazy. But we done got real good at suppressing our craziness. See, y'all women, y'all ain't learned how to suppress that craziness. See, y'all can only do it just for a split second, but us, we can hold that crazy back forever until we just snap. But women, oof, they gonna snap regardless. April A says, I'm sorry y'all are going through things, because I go through things too, but it's different seasons of our life. We have to put on a full armor of God to battle it. All right, let's continue. Let's try to go ahead and wrap this up. MacArthur says he's been trying to get the world out through his new book. Let me read that again. MacArthur said he's been trying to get the word out through his new book, The War on Children, Providing Refuge for Your Children in a Hostile World, but several Christian publishers refused to publish it. Hey, I wonder what publishers or Christian publishers decided that they don't want to publish John MacArthur's book. I don't know, man. I don't know. I may have to look into that. I may have to look into why his book ain't being published. Yeah, just like Big Yehuda said, hit that like button and subscribe, or you will be punished. All right. It's not a joke. He's not laughing. All right. So it's not a joke. He's actually being serious. You're gonna be punished if you don't like and subscribe. All right. Let's go ahead and wrap up this last paragraph, and then we will get up out of here. All right. Quote, we're trying to make clear to parents that behavior is essentially the result of choices that kids make, he said. Quote, and if you parent them properly, they'll make right choices. But if you blame it on something other than their choices and you identify them as having something they can't do anything about but medicate it, you are literally turning your children into not only a potential drug addict, but maybe a potential criminal because they never learn how to navigate life in a socially acceptable way, end quote. That is the end of this article. Man, John MacArthur done came in here. He done split the room with this live stream. Let's go back to this poll. All right, let's go back to this poll where I'm asking only on YouTube. Is mental illness real? All right, so far 78% of you say very real. 17% of you says no, it's a big pharma scam. And 6% of you say some of it is and some of it isn't. Now, grace and peace, Brother Anthony White, who is watching from Instagram. Thank you for watching the live stream, sir. Now this is where I stand. With the whole mental illness, PTSD thing. I'm more of, I will vote that some of it is mental illness and some of it isn't mental illness. Because I do believe that Big Pharma is out here to make money off of people, right? I believe that, if you say that you can't sleep at night, it's a pill for it. You say that you're going through a season to where you're sad or you're depressed or something like that. They got pills for that. But sometimes I don't think that it's a good idea for us to just be pilling everybody up, just passing out pills like it's nothing. I think that right before the whole pandemic, that was one of the issues that was happening. That was becoming a huge problem in our country. Okay, now this kind of goes back up under the Obama administration with the whole Affordable Care Act, which is quote unquote Obamacare, where they were just giving pills out. I mean, they were just manufacturing pills and they were just handing them things out like candy. I remember my grandmother before she passed, and I'm not saying that this has anything to do with like Obamacare or anything like that. She died of a heart issue, totally unrelated. And I remember she had gone to the doctor and she needed a prescription of some particular medicine or something like that. And they gave her the medicine. They gave her a whole bunch of this medicine. And, when she read the label, she took the pills back home and she read the label and she was like, oh, wait, hold on. This ain't my right prescription. So she took the pills back to the doctor and said, hey, this isn't this isn't the right amount. This isn't my medication. This is not the right one. Right. And the doctor was just like, just go ahead and keep them. And she was just like, I don't need these pills. They was just like, no, just go ahead and keep them. And she was just like, she thought that was just so weird that I don't know if you guys have actually looked at a receipt for certain costs, like the raw cost amount for some of these pills. I mean, I remember one time I had to fill a prescription. They wanted like $700 for some pills. And I was just like, I didn't even know that pills cost that much. And I'm trying to remember. I think I had hurt my leg or no. I had just got dental surgery or something like that. And I needed like medication to like numb the pain and all of that stuff. But I think it was like $700 if I had to pay out of pocket if I didn't have insurance. But I think I still had to pay maybe like $150 or something like that. Letter since 82 says, did your grandmother sell them? Be honest. LOL, just kidding. You better be glad you put that at the end, because I was going to tell Sister Sheila, put you in timeout. All right? But, it's all good. But no, she, I don't know what she did with them pills. She may have thrown them away, because I know my grandmother, she's one of those people that, she ain't in the, she wasn't in the drugs or anything like that. But it was just so mind-boggling to me that they were just kind of just giving these pills out. And I mean, for a lot of those pills that they had given her, she didn't even open the pills. She just read she just read the label, and she took it back to her doctor. And she was just like, I don't need these, Label was still sealed up and all of that. They could have took those pills out and gave it to someone else, but they was just like, hey, just keep them. But then I remember up under Obama, it was so easy. And I'm not saying that this is his fault or anything like that, but I remember it was really easy for a lot of people to get pills. Like doctors were just, they were just giving the stuff out. And this is how you ended up having the opioid pandemic or the opioid epidemic, where people was getting like hooked on pills and all of this stuff. And I knew a couple of people personally who were saying that, hey man, I got a couple of doctors to where they'll just go ahead and write me a prescription. And I don't, I really don't have to, really go in and be diagnosed. All I got to do is just say, hey, my back is hurting. And they go to the doctor, write them a prescription, and they just go and pick them up from the pharmacy, But I do believe that there is there is a such thing as mental illness. And this is where I disagree with John MacArthur. I believe that there are certain things that do lead to PTSD. I do believe that PTSD is real. I think that all of us at some point of our lives, if we want to be honest, that there are certain things that will trigger us. Certain people that we may think of who may have wronged us in the past, or certain places we'll drive by where something traumatic may have happened at a certain place, and it'll just kind of like, it'll just make us feel a certain type of way. Certain people that we talk to, we may just be like, man, I just really don't like this person because they may have said something or done something to me in the past. So therefore, when I talk to them, my energy is a little bit different than when I talk to someone else. But I think that a lot of times we can kind of get over some of these things that have happened to us, and the PTSD really doesn't affect us the way that it affects some other people. And I think that there are some people who have gone through some things, and they have some, that they really suffer from PTSD. I mean, I really believe that there are some people who do need some medication. I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to deny that. I think that there's some people who really do need some medication. But at the same time, I believe that there are some people who don't need medication. I believe that Big Pharma has falsely diagnosed people with certain mental disorders, and they didn't really need to be diagnosed with certain mental disorders, which is like a whole nother topic for another discussion. And then also at the same time, I wouldn't be surprised if that some of the food and some of the things that we are exposed to is leading to mental illness. All right. I may have to put on my conspiracy theory hat and right now, because I believe honestly, there's some stuff in our foods that could be leading to some of the problems that we have mentally. I really do. And you will be surprised of what you eat could cause certain mood swings within your body. I just started kind of changing my diet up maybe about 3 years ago. But I noticed when certain things that I eat, like if I eat pretty clean, oh, I'm good. I can, go about my day. Nothing happens. I'm just in a good mood all day. And I can turn around and eat something like a burger or, burger and fries or something heavy or something processed. And it's like, it depends on what it is. Cause sometimes I'll like get anxiety. Sometimes my mood changes and I'm just like, oh, I'm just kind of like in this funk. So that's why, a lot of times I think that we have to watch what we eat. Mari says, I also think we are overstimulated with what we're consuming on TV, social media, and it causes anxiety and other issues. It's causing discontent. Also, getting rest and exercise. Oh, yeah. Yep. Oh, my bad. Wrong one. Yep. Yep. I totally agree. I totally agree. That's another reason why your boy done got back in the gym. You know what I'm saying? I got a little something going on right now. But anyway, it's not the here nor there. It's not the here nor there. And the reason why, let me go ahead and put my conspiracy theory hat back on. Because see, I follow, and I hate that sometimes I kind of know certain things, but at the same time, I hate being ignorant to certain things as well. But there's been times to where I've read certain articles that for some reason it doesn't make mainstream media. Somehow the mainstream media ain't talking about it, of how they are allowing more of a toxic agent, which they know is a toxic agent. Sometimes the USDA partner with like some of these big corporations. Let's just say cereal, right? And me and my wife, we was talking about this the other day. I might just go ahead and let this song ride because we about to get into some conspiracy theories. Y'all remember the cereal Pops, right? The cereal Pops, and what's the other one? Well, we call them Sugar Smacks, but it's called Smacks with the green frog. What type of bag did they used to come into back in the day? Pops and Smacks and Golden Crisp. If y'all remember, those cereals came in a bag that was like, it was like a foil bag. Those were the only cereals that really came in a foil bag, because I guess they didn't want those particular cereals to like, they wanted them to have a longer shelf life. So I guess they put them in those silver bags. Now, if you go buy a bag of Pops or Smacks or something, they're coming in a plastic bag. So I'm starting to think that somewhere along the line, they done changed up the ingredients to those particular cereals to where they're giving them longer shelf life. Now, since they're giving them longer shelf life, you have to think, what preservatives are they putting into those particular cereals, for example, to give them longer shelf life to where you don't have to use the silver bag anymore. You know what I'm saying? But like I was saying earlier, I know that every so often, the CDC kind of scaled back the regulations on how much of these toxic chemicals they are allowing in these foods, like every so often, and I'm just throwing a number out here, maybe about every 5 or 6 years, they may say something that's a known carcinogen. Back in the day, they may not have used it at all. But then let's just say around the year 2000, they're able to kind of sprinkle a little bit in the food and say, well, if you don't eat a whole bunch of it at once, you'll be okay. And, but if you eat it over time, your body will process it and it'll just go ahead and expel it through your body. So it doesn't really stay in your system and be absorbed in your bloodstream. But then around 2015 or something, if you read some of these articles, they'll say, okay, well, now you can add a little bit more of this carcinogen into your particular food, or that the USDA would allow. Yeah, it is the USDA, United States Drug Administration. Yeah. What is it? Is it the FDA? No, it's the FDA. The FDA, the USDA. I think that has to do with meat. All right, I think that's the meat, but the FDA, the Federal Drug Administration, or something like that. I don't know. Anyway, let's just say around 2015, they'll say that you can sprinkle a little bit more in it. It's still kind of safe, but just don't eat a whole bunch of it all the time. And now, by the time you get to like 2025, they're adding more and more of this particular carcinogen into your food. And I believe that when you're eating stuff like that, because if you think about it, they may say if you can only eat a little bit of this and it'll be expelled through your body, but how many other foods contain that particular carcinogen that you're eating to where you may be kind of going over the recommended amount that you can have in one serving? You see what I'm saying? So yeah, I think it is the FDA. Yeah, the Federal Food and Drug Administration, or something like that. Food and Drug Administration. But yeah, just like Keanu Shaw says, that the FDA is bought and paid for. So when you're dealing with politics and you're dealing with huge corporations and big pharma, I believe that they're all interconnected. I gotta put that music back on. I believe that they're all connected. Because I mean, you get the big corporations who are just like, we want to try to make as much money as we can, right? So if we can kind of, put money behind certain politicians, they're going to lift some of these food and drug restrictions that could potentially kill people. But if we put enough money behind them, they'll lift these restrictions. So therefore we can make more money and we can save money by producing this unhealthy food. Then Big Pharma steps in and says, well, hey, guess what? We need to put more money behind you as well, because we know that if people continue to keep consuming these carcinogens, this is going to lead to more health problems. And if this leads to more health problems, then we can make more medicine and we can make more money by giving people, not the cure, not to rid people of these problems, but just kind of like these pills and these medicines that's going to kind of like alleviate some of the symptoms for a while, but it's not really going to, just eradicate the whole issue. You see what I'm saying? And plus, I mean, nowadays, everything is just so convenient. You got so many microwavable foods and again, man, I think it ties into how much they want people to work. Inflation, people got to work extended periods at their jobs. So therefore they don't really have time to come home and cook food. You just pop some inside of the microwave or pop some in the oven real quick to eat that. I really think that it's just a cycle. I really think it's a cycle. But this is where I believe that us as Christians, right? Especially us as Christians, we also have to feed our bodies with healthy food. We got to take care of this temple. Like even now, whenever I cook dinner, I will probably say all of my food that we cook. I have to prepare. I prepare fresh vegetables, and I'm even like, I even got to be careful about where I'm getting my fruit from, my fruits and vegetables. You see what I'm saying? But I'm always preparing fresh vegetables, fresh meat, fresh rice, all of that type of stuff. Like we actually cook, we actually chop up our stuff and we cook it. We're actually trying to find some local people to where we can get some fresh eggs, instead of going to the store. So, of course, we can't totally eliminate going to the grocery stores and all of that stuff, but we're really trying to curb what we get from the grocery stores. We don't really buy a lot of canned stuff. We don't buy a lot of boxed stuff. We done stop eating a lot of cereal and all of that type of stuff, man. It's just a lifestyle change, because I believe that some of the stuff that we eat are leading to mental health issues, which I think is very real. You know what I'm saying? Keanu Shaw says we have chickens. We haven't bought eggs in about 6 months. That's what I'm talking about. So let's go ahead and give her a horn. Go ahead and give her a horn. But before I get ready to wrap up, I do want to kind of conclude with that. I do believe that there is a thing. I do believe that PTSD and mental illness is real. I do believe that. I mean, and like I said, I ride with John MacArthur heavy, man of God. Hold on, let me get my button. It's a man of God. All right. Respect on his name. But I will say that I do disagree with him on this. I do disagree. And I believe that this is where us as Christians, we have to be discerning. All right. We're called to be discerning. We have to be able to step back and examine some things and really be discerning to say, hey, is this a character issue? Is this a sin issue? Or is this really a mental issue? And I know somebody put earlier that, well, mental illness is not really labeled in the Bible, but at the same time, you didn't have Big Pharma in the Bible. You didn't have a lot of people tampering with the food in the Bible. You see what I'm saying? So it was a different time. And of course, the Bible isn't going to speak to certain things that were not a problem back then, because we're talking about ancient times versus the times that we're living in right now. You see what I'm saying? So I do believe that mental illness is real, PTSD is real, but I think that we just have to be discerning on how we need to navigate and how we need to deal with those issues to determine what is and what isn't mental illness. All right, but listen, I'm about to get ready to get up out of here, and now I'm asking a question before we get ready to go. I'm asking, is mental illness real? 70% of you say it is very real. 11% of you say no, it's a big pharma scam. And 19% of you says some of it is and some of it isn't. All right, but listen, as we get ready to get up out of here, y'all go ahead, hit that like button. Don't matter where you guys are watching from, whether it's Instagram, X, Rumble, YouTube, or Facebook. Y'all go ahead and hit the thumbs up. And listen, as always, like this video, rate it, share it, subscribe, hit that notifications bell. So whenever I get ready to go live, you guys will be the first ones to show up at my live streams, and you guys will be the first ones to see my videos as soon as they drop. And with that, you guys enjoy the rest of your night, and I will see you guys next time, Lord willing. Peace.